Hello.
Hey.
How's it going, everybody?
All right, so if you clicked on this video, you ain't wasting no time. You want to know, like, what I need to do to be prepared because, them first 2 years, this video says them first 2 years is going to be trying. And so, but before we get into it.
Yes, we're Terence and Jill, a God-Ordained Union.
Yes.
And we are here simply to help increase kingdom marriages.
Yep, because this video really tells you why there's a demise in marriages and not just preventing them, but we talking about once couples get married,
the enemy ain't stopping.
The enemy ain't stopping.
He's picking it up to another level.
He's taking, so he doesn't stop after you say I do. He does not stop after you say I do. So, but that's our mission. We're on a mission to increase kingdom marriages. And no, we don't give marital advice. But let me tell you something. We've got 3 years down, 3 years of marital bliss down. It ain't always blissful. We got 3 years down. And so I know a lot of you are about to say I do.
So we just want to give you a heads up.
We want to give you a heads up.
Yeah. Okay, just because you said I do,
exactly.
Just because you made it to that venue and you got married and you went on your honeymoon,
or you accepted that engagement ring.
Now things start.
Yes, Smith's about to tell you some stuff, and so you're on the right channel. If you have not met your person yet, you're probably thinking, if am I supposed to be married? Does God hear me? What's wrong with me? You are definitely on the right channel. Yes, God hears you because he's ordered your steps here. So you in the right place at the right time. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you turn on your notifications. Our story was simple. Well, actually, I don't like to say it was simple, but really, like, we were in the waiting room for a long time. We were in the waiting room for a long time. I was over 50 when I got married, over 50, but 40, close to 50 when I came across Terence on an outdated dating site. And so, but we didn't settle. So we know how you feel.
Right.
We know how you feel waiting and praying and waiting and praying and waiting. But I believe in marriage. Terence believed in marriage. And so we're here, and you're going to get there too. You're going to get there too. The enemy is doing his job. This channel is here to expose the enemy so that you'll know how he's coming at you, and so that you can, receive that person who God has for you. Because this is the thing. God's not going to override your will. So there's some things that you could be doing or even saying out your mouth that is blocking you from receiving your person. And so on this channel, we're gonna get you right, because we on a mission to increase kingdom marriages. We go live
every Tuesday
at
7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah, so turn on your notifications. We also do these pre-recorded videos like this one every Sundays and Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we live chat. This video is not live, but we're down here below live chatting. So, hey, y'all, we are live chatting. Also, we invite you to pray with us, intercessory prayer with our family on Friday nights, starting at 11:50 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And so if you have a prayer request, whether it's for your person or whether it's for a job or for the health of a family member, whatever, for your health, whatever it is, we invite you to join us in intercessory prayer. The call information is in the description, not in the comments. It's in the video description. So the link to the call and the passcode and caller, the ID, all of that is in the description.
Yes.
All right.
So look, before we get started, I just want to say I need to see y'all or hear y'all's name on Fridays, because look, that is off the chain. Just being able to be on there with other Christians, other believers, and they're going to be able to support you in prayer and come in agreement with you. You're going to be able to learn some things. You're going to be delivered from. It's worth you staying up. Even if you got to go to bed right after you get out of work Friday and set the alarm to get up so you can be on there, because you can go into the weekend with a life-changing experience Friday nights, early Saturday mornings.
You know how you that meme where you go into the prayer room as a kitten and you come out as a lion?
Wow. That's what I'm talking
That's
about.
how
right
I be.
there.
You go in believing that God heard you. Believing. By the time they take the mute off and everybody is praying and the tongues are going up and it's just powerful. So yes, join us. We invite you to join us for prayer. It's about 100 people on that call. But yeah, come around and meet some believers. You know, be around some more and is in addition to your local church.
Yeah.
All right. So all right. So
today, what do we got, baby?
I think somebody asked us to do this one, and we tried to steer away from marriage. Because we still learning. Terence was married before, over close to 20 years ago. You divorced what in 2000 and what 6?
6, the divorce was final.
Yeah. So this is new to us, and so there's some things we want you to know before you get married, so that you will kind of have some you'll have some understanding of what you get into, especially for those who are older and those who have never been married. Now, those of you who haven't been married, you probably know this. But those of you, and you may not, because if you've been married and you're not married now, it may be because you missed these things. And so these some things that we've learned. And so you need to know, there's a reason why couples get divorced within the first 2 years. Because those first 2 years
are beast.
And we're about to talk about it. So after you say I do, this is some things you need to know.
That goes on in the first 2 years of marriage.
Yes.
Why people are getting divorced within the first 2 years after getting married.
Yes. We say all the time that marriage is the best personal development program ever, if you allow it to be. If you allow it to be. So the first thing you need to understand is that you've got to be willing to have an identity shift. Now, our identity is in Christ. It is in Christ, but this is more of the role of who you are, the role. So you're going from single to married. And so that requires change.
That requires changing your title. And we talked about not having titles in the past, but in this case, you're going from being a single individual, whether you are a man or woman, to being a spouse, whether it is a husband or wife.
Yes.
That role has changed.
The role has changed. And if you are unwilling to change, you're in for a rude awakening. I ain't changing for nobody. Marriage ain't
who I am
for you. He's going to have to accept me as I am. No, he don't. No, he don't.
Now, why is that important to change? Because you need to learn to be able to put the other person before yourself. Marriage is about, and love is about being unselfish and saying, I need to serve the other person.
And that is an identity shift. It is an identity big time. So if you used to get in your way, and especially if you say the youngest child in the family and you used to being spoiled, and I'm a daddy's girl, and all of this. Yeah, well, you now a wife.
To a guy that may not have had a little sister, that may not have come from a big family and know how to share. So you have to know that there's going to be some getting used to when you first get married, that some people find uncomfortable.
Very uncomfortable. And so that identity shift, that change is necessary if you want it to work. And a lot of people may feel like they're losing themselves because you're still trying to hold on to an identity. You're still trying to have that single mindset. And well, me and my girlfriends, we do brunch every Sunday. And he's like, okay, well, you're a wife now. Well, we used to doing our girls trips every year for our birthday, and you got 4 or 5 girlfriends you in a clique with, and and every time you turn around, it is an identity. You're a wife now, or you're a husband now. Going out with so it is. And so if that is an issue for you, you need to know that in the beginning.
Yes.
In the beginning, because it isn't it. It requires change. It requires a great deal of change. And God, thank you, because before Terence came along, God was preparing me. I was starting to change. I was starting to take away Jill, and the brands that I had made. And I started to make room. And God, as He is so awesome at how He did this, my nephew came to live with me. My nephew was a grown man. And he was falling on some hard times, and he came to, and I let him come and live with me. He's from the DMV, but he came down to Maryland, to North Carolina. So I let him live with me. And I had to change. I had to learn how to share my space. I had to learn how to, I wanted to make sure that he ate well. I wanted to make sure being transparent, he was coming from prison. And so I wanted to make sure he had, home cooked meals and got his, vegetables in or whatever, what have you. And so I was making sure. And so God kind of, quote unquote, trained me to take care of my nephew, making sure he was good. And so it took some change, as I said, in I had to go, from single Jill. And even though he was a grown man, he went into prison when he was, just getting into adulthood. So he had some arrested development going on. So I literally had to switch from single Jill to mom Jill, because he was in my care. And so, of course, full blown Auntie Jill. So it was an identity. It took some change of how things were in the house, how I had to rearrange some things to make room for him. And so God had prepared me. He was preparing me, even just being selfish, even being selfless, into saying, yes, my nephew can come to live with me. Because anybody who knows me, I've never lived with anyone in my adult years. I went from living at home to living by myself. I've never lived, and I've never had a roommate, nothing like that. I didn't stay on campus, at college. I've always lived alone. And so, yeah, I was, like you said, it was a selfish thing, a selfless thing that I had to,
Yeah, and with me, I can honestly say, fellas, I know you used to being by yourself. I know you used to doing stuff without answering to nobody. I'm a man, I'm a grown man, I can do what I want to do, when I want to do it, how I want to do it. But guess what? When you get married, you may have to learn how to say, well, let me check in. Let me let her know that I'm okay. Let me let her know I'm not coming straight home from work today, or I'm gonna go do this, or I got plans that I made next week with my brothers or my boys, and I need to let her know just in case she's made plans for us to do something with another couple or something.
Let me check with my wife. Let me check with my husband.
Yeah, it's not about saying you're reporting to anybody. It's just saying now you need to consider their feelings. You need to consider what plans may have been made. And fellas, I can tell you from firsthand, women are planners. She plans a lot of things that I may not be aware of the day she planned it. So you have to be open to change. You have to be open to shifting. You have to be open to knowing you're not the only one that's involved or going to be affected by the choices and the decisions that you make.
That's right. That's right. Number 2, they always say it, communication. They have that as the biggest reason for divorce, communication. And it's not even so much about communication than it is about comprehension and learning how that person communicates. And so from the very beginning, even in the dating courting phase, learn how that person communicates.
Yes. And look, y'all know we talk about God and scripture with everything we're doing. But it's going to be very important for you to understand someone's love language.
Even though it's not biblical, it takes it from principles, biblical principles. There are some biblical principles.
You need to know that if she needs words of confirmation, affirmation, or she need, some people grow up being given gifts to have their love shown to them. And then you need to know that. That way, when you want her to know, or you trying to give a gesture that says, I love you, you can do it in a way that she understands it, fellas.
Yeah. Just so you all know, you can Google the 5 love languages, but it's a theory. And I'm not even going to tell the author here. You can Google it. It'll come up. The author, will come up. The book is a book. It's a whole program. But the 5 love languages, let me just say what it is believed that it is believed that every couple communicates primarily in one of these ways. One is words of affirmation. 2 is quality time. 3 is acts of service. 4 is touch, and 5 is words of affirmation, touch, quality time, acts of service, and gifts.
Gifts.
And so early on, if I want to see you, it's probably that person's love language is quality time. Or if, you send in a good morning text, or if you don't send a text or a good morning, they might feel some type of way. Then you might know that their love language is words of affirmation. They need to be affirmed through your words. And even people who, I need to know what we are. Are we dating? Are we courting? What is our title? Then that could be a sign that they need words of affirmation.
And the other thing is, you need to understand the difference in the way you receive love, your love language, and theirs. Yeah. Because you may say, like for an example with me, mine is touch. Mm-hmm. Well, hers isn't. So if I keep giving her touches and doing things to touch her because that's my love language, she may not receive the message that I'm trying to give. And so there's a big disconnect.
It is a disconnect. So on the flip side of that, because I know that that's his love language, I've got to go into my selfless. I got to change.
Right.
I got to literally change. I had to change. And I had to not only receive his touch more. I'm like, it's hot. I want to do menopause. It's hot. I had to not only receive his touch, but I had to learn how to touch him more. Mm-hmm. So, and that is a part of the change. And so understanding and communicating in a way where they best know how to communicate. Mm-hmm. And it is an adjustment.
And fellas, we don't talk a lot, but hers is words of affirmation. So guess what I had to do? I have to start talking. I have to start doing things that speak words. Mm-hmm. So I had to learn to do that, to say, man, she likes talking about a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. But guess what? That's her love language. So now that I'm aware of that, I can say, yeah, I can't get, in my own space and say, I need some personal time. No, I need to make time to be in her presence so we can speak, we can talk, we can do some things. So we both are benefiting from how we both communicate.
And one of the things Terence did from the beginning that gave him brownie points is that he would send me songs. He would send me YouTube videos, send me a link. He would sometimes it just be a link, and he still does it to this day.
Yeah, I still do it to this day.
When I'm at work, I'll get a song, a love song or a gospel song, and the words, I know it's the words I'm listening to, that's the message that he's sending me. And so, but learning their love language is huge, is because, sometimes you could even be offended. You think that a person is not loving you because they won't cook dinner for you, when your love language might be acts of service, because that's how you were brought up. Your grandmother may have always done for you, but that's not their love language.
Right.
And so if they don't cook for you, if your wife don't cook for you, you might take offense to it. You might take offense like, wow, she doesn't love me.
Right.
But that's not her love language. And so, but on the flip side,
she's not recognizing it. That is your love language.
That is your love language. So she's got to tap into your love language. The other thing with us is that Terence is left-handed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm right-handed. So that was kind of a communications barrier, because when, the way Terence makes decisions, my mom is a left-handed person. And sometimes the way they make decisions, I'll be like, why? That's illogical. But it's illogical to me because I don't know. I mean, I know that they're thinking probably from a different
part of our brain,
a different part of their brain. So it happens a lot when we go to like somewhere where we got to get a parking space. Mm-hmm. And 9 times out of 10, we're going to exchange some not so pleasant words with each other, because I always think he's going to miss a parking space. I'm like, you just missed a parking space. You just missed a parking space. And the person could be coming out, and his thought is, well, let me go find one. Let me go to the left to find one. I'm saying, but all you gotta do is go right there to the right. But it's communication.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's being able to comprehend, why we think the way we think.
It's learning how others process information.
Yes.
So when things happen, everything doesn't have to be an argument.
Everything doesn't have to be an argument. Yeah, because those arguments leads to somebody walking out and somebody saying deuces to the marriage. Mm-hmm. And so communication is big. Number 3 is unrealistic expectations. You think,
a lot of people are going off of social media. A lot of people going off what they see in movies. A lot of people going off of what they have in their head as a dream. Mm-hmm. And then they're saying it has to happen like this, or this person doesn't love me, or they're not.
Or our marriage is not.
Our marriage is in trouble because it's not going perfectly how I imagined it my whole life. And so
I had a reality check. And this is a great example. So a couple of weeks ago, we went back to Raleigh. And we went back to Raleigh because we like the hiking trail there that's in Raleigh. And so while we're there, we went to the restaurant where we had our first date, Chili's. And that's also in my old neighborhood when I was single, when I lived in Raleigh. And so I got there, and we riding around, and my whole world lit up. And I was like, I started reminiscing. I was like, oh my God, this feels so good. And this is so beautiful. And I miss this place. I miss it. I miss it. I miss it. And I had to kind of pull back. A couple of days later, I realized what it was. It's because that's the place where my dreams came true, where my prayer was answered. That was the place where Terence and I were starting our love affair. That was the place that brought magic, and like magic happened. And so I had to tell Terence that the reason why I love going back to Raleigh is because that is where it started.
You got good memories.
I got good memories there. It's not because I want to be single again. It's because that's where we started. And so when I relocated to Charlotte, after the whole thing leading up to the wedding, the engagement, we didn't have an engagement party or anything, but leading up, our engagement was so beautiful. Our engagement process and our being engaged was beautiful until we moved in. We started having some hard knocks, but for the most part, it was beautiful. We started to like get to know each other, and so but then after we said I do, life happened. Like the bliss was gone. And it wasn't that the bliss was gone for the person, it was the bliss was gone for the environment.
Mm-hmm.
And so as soon as we said I do, life started to get real. It started to, like, we found out, like, literally we got married in April, and then we found out we were about to renew the lease to the apartment we were at. We loved the apartment. We were about to renew the lease, at least for another 6 months, so we can buy a house. And they had this whole rent spike, and the rent went up like almost $600. And that was everywhere. And so we said, okay, we're going to pay $600. Then we might as well go to a zip code that we really like. We wanted to come to Lake Norman, where we are now. And so we had to literally move, like, in the next 2 months, pack up everything. We didn't even take our wedding gifts out because we had to literally pack. So reality hit.
Yeah.
Reality hit, and it was a strain. It was a strain. And then 6 months after that, I lost my job. And so reality hit. And I remember it was so hard. We got therapy. When we went to a therapist, and great guy. We researched this guy, a Christian guy, a Christian therapist. And he literally told us, y'all don't have issues.
He really did.
He said, y'all don't have issues.
Like, what are y'all here for?
And then he had the nerve to prophesy about
it. So we talked about the Bible every session. We talked about the Bible. So
he told us, I see you all as being marriage counseling. We was like, well, can we get a little bit now? Can we get a little bit of counseling?
Can you show us what we should say to other people?
Can you show us what we should say to other people? And yeah, and so, but the thing is that what you need to know is that the bliss will leave.
Yeah.
And it's not that you married the wrong person.
Yeah, and it's not that either one of you got something wrong with you. It's just that due to circumstances and things that we did, some choices we made, reality set in that the result to those decisions was impactful.
Yeah. Yep.
It was very impactful.
Yep. And so that is those in those first 2 years, you're gonna have realistic issues that are gonna come in. And so so you can't have unrealistic well, I don't feel like I'm in love no more. The honeymoon phase will fade.
And think about it, fellas. We're talking in the first 2 years of marriage. So you're talking about going to a council and we ain't even been married 2 years yet? What are you trying to say? You got to be open. You got to be open to whatever you need to do for your marriage.
And we have premarital counseling as well. But, you need that counseling when you actually going through something. Yeah. I mean, that premarital was cute and all. But we was in our blissful. Yeah, we was blissful. We was like, but when, when the stuff starts happening, like, and you in real time, yeah. And so, I understand why people get divorced because it is hard. And then number 4 is, have external boundaries. You got to put boundaries up.
And one of the things I learned with boundaries is, she said it in the beginning, I've been married before. So one of the things I needed to do is make sure that my past wasn't interfering with our future.
And our present.
So there had to be boundaries put up. So, going through that and making sure that those boundaries was put in cement. They just wasn't there, and then we kept pushing the line back and pushing. No, we put those boundaries up in cement.
Yeah.
And if people's feelings got hurt, they got hurt.
Yeah. The other thing we did under doing boundaries is that we both come from big families, both of us, and we talking about big families who like to do stuff all the time. As a matter of fact, I was going to say something, but I digress. But both of us having huge families and always like to do stuff. And so the first what, the first 2 years of marriage? Well, the first 2 years of marriage, but the first 2 years of us in a relationship, we didn't go to anybody's house for Thanksgiving, which is weird and rare
for both of us.
For both of us. We cooked Thanksgiving dinner at home, just the two of us. And so we wanted to learn how to set new traditions. And so we had to set some boundaries. And, even, we can't just always run to, and now this is the thing. My husband came with children. So I had to open myself up to be a mother and to be now a grandmother. And so that took a level of change. That took a level of change in my identity. And so
boundaries.
But we had to also put boundaries in there as well, because they are grown children. They are grown. So if they were, under 18, but we also my husband put some boundaries even there. And so, but yeah, we had to, set some boundaries, like even how we operate on the weekends. And we just had to, because if not, it would play on the relationship. It would play on the marriage. And so,
and those boundaries, they're going to come whether you want them or not. They're going to come. So you just have to recognize them when they get there, and don't let it be such a big distraction or obstacle that you can't get beyond it, because you can't. Right. All you have to do is talk about it and understand what that meant or what it means, and then make the necessary moves or adjustments that you got to make.
Right. Because I know a lot of people, they have a problem with a parent. And so a lot of women go into a marriage and they're very, very close with their mom, and their mom always got something to say, about their relationship, and y'all need to do this, and y'all need to do. You've got to set some healthy boundaries. I mean, it might not be an issue with those who are older, because since a lot of you are older getting married, but your boundary may have to be set with a child, a child. And so you've got to set some boundaries. And thank God we didn't have those issues, because even our children, they got their own lives and they do their own thing, and they in their own world, and they don't want us in it. And so that's a good thing. But boundaries are important. And so
I will say this, and something that we both recognize too, because we were older when we got married. That is, for those of you out there that are older, some of the things we're saying, if you haven't experienced them yet,
it's going to be hard.
It's going to be hard. Why? Because if you're in your 50s, your 60s, then you're setting your ways, and you've been setting your ways for a much longer time than someone in their 30s. So when it comes to boundaries, when it comes to change, when it comes to communication, you really have to tell yourself almost on a day-to-day basis, I need to be flexible. I need to be open. I need to hear them. I need to ensure that I'm being clear with what I'm trying to get across. You need to tell yourself that, because it's going to be a challenge in the beginning.
Yeah, I was having a conversation with someone who's older, and older when I mean like almost like over 70. And she was saying, yeah, I would get married again. She said, I don't know. How did she put it? She said, yeah, I would consider marriage. Even at this age, I would consider marriage again. She said, and I was talking to this guy, I was dating this guy. She said, but I told him up front, I don't do sex. I don't do sex. And I was like, well, if you get married, that might be an issue. And so, so the older you get, the more set, which goes into, when we got married, I was smack dab in menopause. And so that took a level of adjustments, and figuring out in multiple areas.
And there was a time where she'd be cold, almost like she's freezing. Then like 2 seconds later, she's like
burning up hot,
burning up and sweat and everything just running off her like she just got out the shower and didn't dry off. And it's like, what in the world? Yeah, from one extreme to the other, it was just going back and forth, back and forth.
And because his love language is touch, I didn't want to be touched. Not even sexual. I'm talking about touch like this. Like, like if he touched me like that, I'm hot. Like, why?
Yeah, she's already hot. Then my body
like, why?
Is like, wait a minute.
Can you move over a little bit? Can you move over? And so, we had to put some, we want external boundaries, but we had to put some external boundaries out there because we had to figure out us.
Yeah.
Even like figuring out the church that we were going to go to. We had to put some boundaries there. We ain't, we still trying to, so we can't be in a ministry that's going to have us all over the place. And you doing this and we got to go across town every Tuesdays and Thursdays and we got to do this. We had to put some boundaries. So, and you got to put some boundaries there as well. And then number 5.
Number 5 is big. It's probably the biggest one on the list.
Spiritual warfare.
Number 5 is spiritual warfare.
The enemy gonna come for you. The enemy gonna come. The enemy gonna make you think that your husband don't love you. He gonna make your wife. The enemy gonna make you think that your wife don't respect you. You're gonna that there's no trust there. The enemy gonna come and try to play in your mind. He's going to send external forces at you. It's the enemy because he doesn't stop at preventing you from being married. Now that you got married, he's pissed.
Yeah,
he's pissed off.
Now he's done took the gloves off.
He done took and he is going. He's
coming at you from every angle.
Every angle. He's going to use people who you thought were your friends. He's going to try to use loved ones. He's going to use the job. It's going to be, and that's just how it is. And that's not speaking negativity. That's how the enemy operates. And so you got to know the tricks and schemes and plans of the enemy so that you know how to be ready for that Bama.
And not only that, you have to go ahead and know up front that you're going to have to apologize. Sometimes you're going to respond badly or poorly or incorrectly. You're going to have to go ahead and be humble enough to repent, humble enough to forgive, humble enough to be forgiven. You're going to have to suck up your pride and say, I was wrong or I shouldn't have done it that way. That comes with the territory. So don't think any isolated incident says that you are unworthy of being married. You're unworthy of that spouse that you have. You're unworthy of what God promised you.
It's a mistake.
Yeah, you have to understand spiritual warfare is just what it is. Something happens, it's not the person. It's what the enemy is doing through that person.
And that's the point. This is the sad truth, y'all. It's not an external enemy. The primary enemy is the enemy in your mind. The primary enemy, it is the enemy has seeped into your thoughts. And so daily you got to pull down strongholds because the enemy, I never forget, I heard CeCe Winans say that when she first got married well over 40 years ago, she said the first year of her marriage, she said every day she was leaving her husband, her stuff was packed. She was leaving her husband and moving back home every single day. And that's how it literally feels. It's like, you're like, okay, this is not going to work. This is not going to work. This is not going to work. You're going to pack a bag. You're going to, and then you're going to feel like, okay, well, and when you reconcile back, the enemy don't stop. He's going to feel, what he's going to do is he's going to say, well, you're weak. You just gave in. You're going to let that person walk all over you. You're going to you're going to forgive that.
That's disrespectful.
That's disrespectful.
You need to stand up for yourself.
You need to stand up for yourself. Oh, you are giving yourself away. You're losing yourself. And that's how the enemy, and let me tell you something. If you don't have an argument, that is the enemy. That is the enemy because that's rooted in pride. We don't argue. We've never had, the whole 10 years we've been married. We've never had an argument. Even that is the enemy working, because as soon as you have a disagreement, that will probably blow up the marriage.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as you have a disagreement. So don't think because you had a disagreement that that person is not for you. Is that you're learning each other. You're literally kicking walls down. Walls are literally being forced to come down, and it doesn't feel good.
Because you don't realize you're putting these walls up with your everyday
single
habits, single self, and all the things that you've been doing your whole life that nobody has ever questioned because you're by yourself.
Right.
Now you're going to be living with someone that sees every single second of your day almost, and they're going to see everything you do, and it's going to be questioned.
And they're going to want to see more of you.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to want to, and so the walls are being torn down, kicked down, snatched down.
Who you on the phone with? Why your phone ringing this time of day, this time of night? Why this? Why that?
Why is she calling you?
But you're there laughing.
Yes. Why is that person calling you? Texting you, and why is this and why is that? And that the enemy is going to make you think he's cheating. She's cheating. Mm-hmm. She still likes her ex. She still wants her ex. She still does this. The
enemy's doing what the enemy is supposed to do.
Yep.
If you look up enemy in the dictionary, it's going to show him still killing and destroying.
Still killing and destroying.
You got to know that. So when it comes up, you just say, you know what? We have to stick together.
Mm-hmm. And that's why it's so important that you get the right one, the one, because the one, the trust is there. The trust you're going to still have these bouts. But you know that the love is there, and that love conquers all. That is, but getting to that, you're going.
That's why you're going to appreciate it when you get with the right one. You're going to say, "Now I get it," because just any wife would not have done. It had to be the one that God had for me,
and any husband. So it's got to be the one that you're willing to pull these walls down. You're willing to change for. You're willing to serve.
Because when she went through menopause and she turned that AC up because she was hot and I was in here about to freeze, what I do, I just went and put a jacket on, or I went and got my house coat, or I went and got a blanket, and I just sat back down and continued doing what I was doing, wrapped up. You got to do it. It's a part of it.
And when my husband got a taste for something, and he wants some fried pork chops, that's right. I'm going to make my husband what he want, and I'm going to serve it to him on a glass plate, ladies, on a glass plate. That's how my grandmother taught us. You serve your husband on a glass plate. And, you do what is best, for you. You literally got to come into this. What can I do for you? And it's not even about what I need this, because if you're taking it from the perspective of I'm serving him, and he's taking it from the perspective as I'm serving her, then you're gonna both get what you need out of it and get what you want out of it. And so, yeah.
And that's the simple truth right there.
Yes.
There are people, and I know y'all probably sitting there thinking I'm single. Those are some very simple things and some areas that should be easily fixed. Well, possibly if you're 18, 19, 20 years old, and you still open to every option in the world.
And you ain't experienced nothing.
And you still believe that, you're going to be able to fly one day on your own. But when you're in your 40s and 50s and 60s and you've been stuck in your ways for a long time and nobody had to question, you didn't have to report or say anything or check with people before making decisions, then it becomes a little different.
It becomes a little bit different. So we hope this helps.
Yes.
Yeah. Dealing with warfare, number 5, you make sure you armored up with a few scriptures.
Yes, you got to be armored up.
You got to pray every single morning and night and during the day. When my husband leaves, we're already prayed up. Once he leaves, I'm now going into prayer for him, for his safety, for him, his health, his whatever. I'm going into prayer for him. And so at night, we pray before we go to sleep, because the enemy can come in through the dreams And so you got to stay armored up, the breastplate of righteousness, sword of spirit, shield of faith, belt of truth, helmet of salvation, and footwear of peace. You know, peace is needed in the home. That is something that's a fruit that, man.
Oh, and you know what? You just hit on something. So let me say it while it's on my mind. Peace. That reminds me right now that there are some things that when you get married, you're going to look for your spouse to give you, and it ain't their job. It's God's job. So you're asking them to do something that's out of their control. It's out of their tool shed. They can't do it. They don't have the tools to do it.
They only got responsibility for their peace.
Joy is another.
They coming with theirs.
You can't ask somebody to give you peace. You can't ask somebody to give you joy. Those are things you have to look from the Holy Spirit. And if you don't know that, you're going to, guys, I've heard men say it a lot. I want a woman that's not going to take my peace. Guess what? She can't take your peace. You need to have your peace when you meet her. You get that from God.
Yeah.
So if there's something going on with your peace, you need to figure that out between you and the Holy Spirit.
Yeah,
don't accuse her of taking something that she can't take because she can't give it to you.
Yeah, my house ain't peaceful. My house, well, you should have enough peace in you to make your house peaceful.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
So that's another thing in the spiritual warfare you definitely want to keep in mind is that look at what we're supposed to do for each other, but then look at the things that we're supposed to look to God for. And make sure you're only asking God for the things God is supposed to give to you.
Yes.
That way you don't hold in contempt with them about something they ain't got no control over.
We can't tell you how you could feel. I can't tell my husband how he should feel or how I should feel. And that's another thing, you know, if something offends you or something makes you feel a certain type of way, and even though it might not be big to him or big to me, if he feels a type of way, I need to stop doing it. If it's making him feel a type of way or something I'm doing or not doing, if it makes him, well, why, that's stupid. Why would you feel like that? I can't dictate his feelings. Only thing I can do is stop doing it because it's hurting him. And I'm not here to hurt my husband. And so that is...
Which goes back to one of the previous numbers. We got to communicate.
Yes.
I got to make sure I let her know that I have an issue with that and what it's doing to me and how it's making me feel. So she will be aware of it. If she's not aware of it, then how can I ask her to help me out with it if she doesn't even know that I feel a certain way because of XYZ?
Yeah, because let me tell you, ladies, a lot of your husband might not tell you everything before marriage. He might not, reveal, everything about his life by choice or by not remembering. And it might be in the marriage where he starts to open up a little bit more. And so you have to have patience. You have to have patience, and you've got to love unconditionally, whatever that is. And so it takes a lot of pulling down self and selfless and making sure he's good and him making sure I'm good and so,
having grace for each other.
And having grace for one another.
Sometimes we're going to make mistakes, just unfortunately because we didn't know. So you have to have grace for each other to say, look, she did this, but I know she didn't do it on purpose.
Right.
I know she loves me. I know she respects me. So I know those things. And I have to put that in my own mind so I don't go from 0 to 60.
Right.
Before I show her grace. Because I'm not perfect either.
Right. Absolutely. All right. So we hope that helps. Make sure that you are willing to change. Make sure your identity is going to shift.
Yes.
Not your identity in God, not your identity in Christ, your identity as far as your role. So that's going to shift, which comes from with different expectations. So be willing to change. 2 is understanding the communication and how to comprehend and know their communication language. Number 3 is having unrealistic expectations. Number 4 is setting boundaries, especially external boundaries. Nothing should be coming in disrupting your home. Nothing and nobody. That's your domain. This is your domain. And number 5, spiritual warfare. And so a lot of people, unfortunately, for whatever reason, money also falls under realistic expectations.
Yeah.
Money also falls under communication, not being able to communicate about money. Money also falls into identity and role. Some, Terrence, thank God speaking of that, Terrence, came in the relationship. He was single. He came into the relationship sharing his money. I didn't. That was an issue for me. So it was mine. He came in the relationship sharing his money. He had to have patience with me on that part. He had to have patience. But money issues I don't think money is the reason why people divorce in the first few years, whatever, but it's the communication and the stewardship of money and coming together. So if you're going through any of these things, because a lot of y'all about to get married, if you're going through any of these things, don't think that something's wrong.
Right. Just think that the enemy is coming at you from a different perspective, from another angle, and he's coming at you more intently.
Yeah.
It's one thing trying you when you're single. It's another thing saying, okay, it's two of them now. So I got to come a little bit harder. And that's what he's doing.
And then on top of that, with spiritual warfare, on top of that, there is a spirit of the anti-marriage movement. There's a spirit of division. So we're talking about societal spirits that's happening over principalities, as well as what's happening in your individual relationship.
Yeah. So part of your boundaries, external boundaries, definitely say that, we need to watch how much advice and what we take from social media, and what the world is doing versus what God says in the Bible. So you got to definitely know the difference and regulate that, so you're getting God's word more so than what you're getting from social media and from the world.
Exactly. All right. Hope this helps.
Yes. All right. We really appreciate you guys, and we look forward to the next one.
Yep. Oh, wait. Before we say deuces, I just want to say that you can recognize these things in the dating courting phase. A lot of this is preventative. A lot of this, of course, when you get in it, that's when, but if you recognize these things now when you're in the dating courting, you know how the person communicates and how they like to communicate, and if you understand that now, that will help, when you're in it.
Because you'll be already done tackled that as an issue, and as you get married, that's something that you've already solved.
Right. So, all right. You ready to say deuces? Deuces.